As a disclaimer, I have no idea why my neighbour upstairs continues to be such an asshat, and I can't take responsibility for said asshattery. My neighbour has been playing music for the past, 5.5 hours with bass vibrating through my flat. I would go upstairs and knock, but I don't think they would hear. So I think I might actually just have to report them to the council, because it's getting on my nerves, and that's the most polite thing I can say, because I could say a hell of a lot more nasty things about this neighbour who actually has no concept of other people at all, ever. So if you can hear the baby crying, like shrieking its head off, or you can hear the rave going on upstairs, I can't do anything about that. So rant over with, I'm going to do a review on the MAC Pro Longwear concealer. The reason it's taken me a while is because I wanted to be absolutely sure about my opinions of this product before I dismissed it out of hand. Oh, by the way, we're filming in my bedroom, if you can guess. There's my bed right there. But I wanted to be absolutely sure of my opinion before I well, told you about it, I suppose. That should probably give you an idea of what I think about it. I don't really like it that much. I will probably use it all up. I will not repurchase. I don't think it's good enough to warrant repurchasing, but it does work. So the packaging on this is absolutely appalling and ridiculous and stupid and makes me angry every time I look at it. It is a pump dispenser. Now, it seems like MAC tried to do something different. They were like, oh, let's bring out a new concealer, let's do something to jazz it up a little. How about a pump? That'd be fun. Except it doesn't work. And I don't think I've ever once gotten exactly the right amount of product out with this pump, which really, really winds me up. Because although I've seen on various websites like Temptalia, oh, well, you could do a pump into a sample jar and then keep the rest for later. I don't really want to do that. I shouldn't have to do that because MAC can't provide me with functional packaging. So the packaging for me is an absolute wah-wah. I can't stand it. It's awful. Just terrible. It puts me in mind of the Makeup Forever HD blushes, where the pump was bad, but it's definitely not as bad as this. So I really can't see anything positive about the packaging. The texture of this is quite runny, and it's quite creamy and smooth. I can get some out, which means I'm just going to get like a massive splurt on my hand now. Lovely. Okay, so it's quite liquidy and it's quite creamy and smooth, but it doesn't feel like it's as sticky as the other as the matching foundation. It does smell of paint, however. I can smell it coming off my hand in wafts, and it's not particularly pleasant. But it doesn't feel as sticky or as unpleasant as the other foundation. That said, it does set very quickly, making building it up pretty much impossible, because it's just going to cake. And in my experience, it does cake, because I did try applying a couple of layers of it just to see what happened on my under eye, and it looked absolutely horrific, and I looked more tired than had I not put it on. So yes, it does cake. That said, the formula is pretty good for long wear. I find that it does last on my under eye area without creasing for 15 hours, and that is what it claims to deliver. So in terms of project brief, it's fulfilled its brief. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But to be honest, I really don't think this is a particularly impressive product. It does blend fine, but I would suggest what Temptalia says, which is to do one eye at a time. I put a bit on the back of my hand and I blend it in with my fingers, because I feel like the warmth of my fingers gives me a smidgen more, a tiny bit of extra time just to blend it in, because if you don't blend it in time, it's going to look awful, really bad. In terms of coverage, I would say this is, probably alright for people with up to medium medium of, oh god, I can't talk today, medium darkness of under eye circles. I'm sorry the camera is shaking, my dressing table is antique and wobbly. But light to medium would probably be fine. It covers my under eye circles fine, but I don't really have prominent under eye circles and I don't have eye bags, so for me it's fine. For people with darker under eye circles, I think there's going to be a problem. I don't think that you're going to get the coverage you need from this because it simply is not very good for building. It just will not build, it will cake and look awful. I think you should probably look elsewhere if you've got darker under eye circles. But for anything that's, you know, fairly normal, that's not, you know, hereditary or hormonal and things like that, I would say it's going to do the trick. It's going to be fine. The reason I don't like to use this with a brush is because I was using it with the 222, I believe, and you can see it's all over the bristles there. And the thing is, I know this is not a synthetic brush and I probably shouldn't have used it, but I didn't have anything else and I've never had problems with concealer before. But I have to take an oil cleanser and smother it all over the bristles just to get this concealer off my brush. So I stopped using a brush just because I found that it's too much effort and it's probably damaging to my brush because it just adheres to the bristles and doesn't let go. It's not stained anything yet, but you know, it probably could. What else can I say to you? I have used this on blemishes, and what I will say is that I only use this on blemishes despite being aware that it is an under eye circle concealer because I like products to multitask, and so when I get a product, let me show you my other concealer if I can find it. When I get a product such as, you know, Bobbi Brown Creamy Concealer, which I love, I want it to do two things. I want it to cover under eye circles and I want it to do blemishes. So even though I knew this wasn't designed for that purpose, I wanted to try it out and it was an absolute big fat fail. It is too liquid to blend properly, so you end up packing more and more on, it cakes and then it oxidizes, so it's really not ideal. And then on that point, that's really disappointed me because it's just a complete one-trick pony and it is a mediocre one-trick pony at that. For drier skin, I would say this is definitely not for you. I mean, let me show you my hand, see if you can see where it's kind of oxidized all over my hand there. It feels kind of tacky now, but not as tacky as the foundation, but it feels kind of tacky on my skin. I think it would cling to dry areas. I mean, it depends how good your eye cream is. I don't personally use an eye cream, although I probably should. But I think that dry skins will not like this foundation. I think it will grab, I think it will stick, and I think it will cake, and it will be messy and nasty. With the finish, it is a matte finish, but it's not a flat matte. It's more of a, you know, kind of a lifelike, not too dry matte. But it will, like the foundation, it will grab powder. So you need to make sure you use something very finely milled or something translucent and be very, very sparing. So I think that's all I can say about it really, apart from the fact that I'm incredibly disappointed. To conclude, I suppose, I got it in NC15, in case you're wondering, by the way. It's a 15-hour wear concealer. It wears for 15 hours on me. So it fulfills its claims. It does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't build. It's not multi-purpose. It only has one purpose really. It's not very good for heavy under eye circles. So basically, it's only good for, you know, not that many people, to be honest. I mean, I don't think it's that useful really. I'm going to use it up because my under eye circles aren't that bad, generally speaking. But to be honest, I think that this is pretty much a letdown, and there are much better concealers out there, such as Estee Lauder Double Wear, which I've heard very, very good things about. So yes, it's a good concealer in that it does what it's supposed to do. It stays all day, it doesn't crease, doesn't flake, and doesn't budge. But other than that, I would say skip this one. Thanks for watching.